The projection theory of subatomic particles. If protons, neutrons, and electrons were the smallest building blocks, life would be rather bland and predictable. Everything would proceed according to the laws of physics. But we know the laws of physics do not apply equally at the subatomic level when compared to the atomic level. At the atomic level, H2O is and always will be water. But a water molecule taken from a raindrop is not the same as a water molecule taken from the ocean. The molecules are the same, but the projection is not. So what is a molecule's projection? To answer this, we must first look at the differences observed when we analyze matter on the molecular level compared with analysis on the subatomic particle level. Atoms behave predictably according to their environment. If you put a sodium atom together with a chloride atom under standard conditions, you'll get sodium chloride every time. The molecules can only react one way, forming sodium chloride. But when we look at observing the particles of an atom, gluons, quarks, leptons, they change simply because we are observing them. They do not react in a predictable manner. Their world is totally different compared to the world of atoms and molecules. Light and energy affect these particles in a different way, partly because they are so small and partly because these particles interact with and react to each other. So if we could observe two separate protons, both protons are totally isolated, the second proton is placed nearer to a neutron. As the neutron becomes closer, the gluons and quarks of the second proton change. They realign. The two protons are both still protons in the elementary sense, but the second proton is now different. Its internal structure is now changed. Its subatomic particles will now affect the subatomic particles of other protons and neutrons. This is projection. So all matter in existence is a combination of matter and projection. It's not just atoms that make up a molecule. It's a combination of atoms and their projection that defines matter. So two atoms may interact predictably, such as sodium and chloride. But as these two atoms move closer, their projection changes, even before they bind to become sodium chloride. We can make a simple analogy using two spheres. Each sphere contains several suspended magnets. As the spheres move closer and further apart, they will be observed simply as two spheres. However, as the spheres move in proximity to each other, the internal configuration of the magnets will inevitably change. The magnets will change position relative to each other and relative to the magnets in the other sphere. At the atomic level, the spheres can be viewed as protons or neutrons. At the subatomic level, the magnets can be viewed as gluons, leptons, and quarks. The effect that the magnets in one sphere causes on the magnets of the second sphere is the projection. In the above analogy, the effect is caused by electromagnetic forces. However, in the subatomic world, we are not yet able to measure projection or easily describe what it is, other than to understand that it exists and that it permeates all matter. In essence, all matter is related at the subatomic level. If we look at this on a larger scale, the projection of a multi-atom molecule is the combined projection of all of the subatomic particles of each atom. For example, the molecule such as a human enzyme might contain 150 amino acids, which might contain 3,000 separate elements, hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, etc., which will contain about 40,000 protons, neutrons, and electrons. The projection of this molecule is the net sum of all of the projections of every quark, gluon, and lepton of those 40,000 protons, neutrons, and electrons. So as we look at larger and larger molecules, the number of different projections is literally infinite. This is a key principle in understanding our very existence. There is literally an infinite number of possibilities projected from the subatomic particles of all matter. Our reality is the net sum of these projections, and the reality that we experience changes as we interact with our environment, with matter, and with other people. Even in a constant environment, the projection of subatomic particles is a dynamic process which makes our observable reality a continuum. Science has always had difficulty when trying to explain the conscious and subconscious functioning of our brains. Now we can better separate the conscious from the subconscious. Most of our conscious functioning is a result of the complex chemical reactions within our brains. The net sum of all the chemical reactions that occur in our brain result in neural transmissions or chemical changes, resulting in measurable physical and physiological changes in our body. That is, our consciousness is the net sum of all the activity at the molecular and atomic level. Our subconscious arises through a combination of molecular reactions and subatomic level projections, but it is important to understand that our subconsciousness is primarily driven and originating from the subatomic level. Our subconscious is not something that can be explained by the world of matter as we know it. This is simply because our subconscious is bound by the rules that govern subatomic particles. Our subconscious mind is in constant projection with our environment, and literally everything within our environment, near and far, is in a constant state of projection with our subconscious mind. Our rational mind will see, hear, feel, taste, and smell our environment through simple molecular interaction, but our subconscious mind will intuit our environment. As our environment changes, so too does our subconscious, resulting in changes in our brains on the subatomic level, which will ultimately translate to physiological reactions in our bodies. The human subconscious cannot be attributed to any particular region of the brain. This is because the subconscious is the net sum of all the projections from every subatomic particle in our bodies and our environment. If you are to sit quietly with your eyes closed and try to ascertain the area of the brain where all your thoughts originate, then you will come to the inevitable conclusion that your subconscious forms a sphere around your head and thoughts permeate from both within and outside of your brain. The subconscious cannot originate exclusively from the brain. Because your subconscious is a combined projections of your brain, body, and the environment, it cannot reside purely within the physical confines of your body. As science advances, our understanding of projection will present a paradox. Just as a singularity can contain an infinite mass in an infinitely small space, we will find that from the very smallest subatomic particles, an infinite number of realities can be projected. Just as the Hubble telescope has enabled unprecedented insights into the universe, our understanding of subatomic particles will reveal the esoteric nature of how all matter is connected, and indeed a deeper understanding of our very existence.